Welcome to Study Loop.
Problem 111 asks what would happen to soybean production and its relationship with insect development as climate changes. So what this problem gives you is information about the relationship between when soybeans bloom and when they set seeds, and how insects develop and mature over the summer season. So the problem states that soybeans bloom around July 13th, and before that point, there's really no effect of leaf removal on the fitness of the plant. The problem states that basically all of the leaves can be removed without really any effect on soybean blooming. And then after August 18th, soybeans begin to set seeds, or the actual soybeans. And at that point, leaf removal is absolutely detrimental to the plant. So problem 11 or 111 part A asks how climate change, which affects insect development but not plant development, can affect soybean performance. So it states that climate change causes earlier development in insects, probably because as the planet warms, earlier months are warmer and insects are able to mature faster. However, in this case, plant development is not altered. So what we're seeing here is that beetles, in this case, are maturing July 13th instead of July 18th as before, and that coincides with when soybeans begin to bloom. Now remember that up to the point where soybeans bloom, there's really no effective leaf removal, even when all leaves are removed. So in this case, where 80% of the leaves are lost, there should be no effect on soybean performance. So part B of this question asks how Roundup Ready soybeans are affecting soybean performance, because these Roundup Ready soybeans must be purchased from the patent holder every year. So part B here says that because these soybeans aren't actually allowed to adapt to climate change, how does that affect soybean performance? So these Roundup Ready can't adapt to higher temps. And so what that probably means is that there's going to be an alteration in when soybeans actually set seeds. There's not a whole lot of information except for the date of when soybeans set seeds, but my prediction is that because seed setting does depend on temperature, possibly slightly cooler temperature than when they bloom in July, that seeds might set a little bit later. Now, what this could mean for the plants is that because at this point leaf removal is detrimental, but temperature changing is affecting the development of insects, it could be that these Roundup Ready soybeans, while they reduce risks of effects of herbicidal treatment, may begin to affect how soybeans are responding to insects. So we may actually start to see loss of soybeans due to insect attack. And so finally, part C asks you to write 2 scientific questions about what these Roundup Ready soybean species might mean in the long term. And so I think based on parts A and B, 2 important questions possibly to ask is how this quickened maturation of insects affects later stages of soybean production, such as the seed setting stage. And this is important because seed setting is temperature dependent. Insect development is temperature dependent. And Roundup Ready seeds are not able to adapt to temperature change. And then another question it might be worth knowing the answer to is how the lack of selection for changing climate affects seed health or seed longevity in these Roundup Ready plants. So the problem doesn't tell us much about what happens to seed setting in soybeans other than that it is temperature dependent. And so because these Roundup Ready seeds are not really selected for based on their responses to temperature change, we don't really know how these Roundup Ready seeds will fare when climate becomes hotter. We do know, of course, that they're resistant to Roundup, which is great for their response to weed killers, but we don't really know how they'll do in more persistently hotter temperatures.